that you have expectations. If you get sick, you're going to go to a hospital and get treatment. You expect that when you finish school, you're going to access opportunities, either to get a job, and therefore you expect that there needs to be transparency, that you don't have to have an uncle or an aunt or a friend in any ministry, but that because of your capabilities and the qualifications you have, that there's a system that will enable you to access that opportunity that is available. Or that you want to do business, and there is an environment where you can go, you put together money, either you as an individual or put money together when you are several of you, and then you can start at whatever level you want to start, and you know you're going to grow your business and it's going to be steady. Those are expectations. So justice can only be when those expectations are met, one, in the nature of environment that is established, that you know that you have no excuse that you are impeded by anything other than maybe your lack of capability or your lack of this or that, but not because of the existing system. Now, when there's a system which is fair, which is transparent, and enables equal opportunities, and enables access, that is justice. It becomes inherent within, it gets established and becomes part and parcel of an established environment, an established culture, and therefore that enables people to know that, you know what, I can access anything that I need unless there's someone who beats me in terms of qualifications. Or I go and start a business unless I either run it poorly or someone outcompetes me. But that the opportunity is there. When that environment exists, then you can start talking about peace. Because that kind of peace is rooted in justice. When there's no justice, when there's no fairness, you can have very well organized security services, the army, the police, intelligence services. They can be well trained, they can even be so disciplined, and they can maintain a lead on society, even when there are grievances, when there are no equal opportunities, when there's no fairness. They can put a lead on society, and therefore the surface things where you think that there is peace and security, that would be elusive, because what you'd be seeing is maintenance of law and order. We need to get a shift in our thinking, and therefore, how do we achieve that? Ordinarily, any country needs to establish, or any state, establish a peace and security architecture where they know that there is the infrastructure, you know, those in governance at the level of a cabinet in a country, and they put in place the rules, the regulations, the norms. They know who is supposed to deal with what, and they know how the army runs, how the police runs, how the intelligence services run. They know the law and order sector, how it functions, and they know who responds to what in terms of the maintenance of law and order, in terms of people accessing justice, in terms of managing internal conflicts, in terms of responding to any external threat. Once you have those known, then the population, through educational systems, our educational system has its own challenges. We focus on academics almost entirely and never seem to understand that outside of the academics, there are also other things that people need to be aware of. Because even when you go to university and you get a PhD, you still have to exist within a society, and there are things which need to be there. Everybody needs to know how do we participate in the maintenance of peace and security. How do you fit in as an individual, and in this particular case, the youth, because you are the majority. Where you operate in an environment where there is unfairness, there are injustices. How do you participate in order to cause a shift from that and put a country on track where you desire it to be? But there are also other areas that you need to look at, which can cause insecurity. It's not only in the areas of justice. I mean, like strictly in the sense of someone has committed a crime, he's been arrested, or someone has stolen your land, and you go to a court system. One, that the police professionally investigates, the DPP's department professionally prosecutes, and that the judge or magistrate before whom you appear is going to give fair judgment. That's part of justice. But see, on the other side, countries need to look at, are people fed? Are the expectations met? Because even if you have got justice in the sense that I've talked about, if people are not able to access food, that can be a source of conflict. If people are not able to access jobs, you are sitting on a time bomb, unless you create opportunities for jobs to be availed. We've just heard the panel. Some of the things are even shocking. There is a moral degeneration in our society, and it definitely linked to the manner in which we manage ourselves. Because all the causes of what we see as a downhill trend is out of desperation. The level of desperation in our society is frightening. I mean, to the extent, I've just heard Madame Winter talking about, you know, a mother gives birth to you. She has sacrificed in raising you through school. She has gone out to do cheo. She makes money. She trusts you. She has money on her account. And you cheat her. And it's not one case, there are many. People who are in the diaspora, maybe we've not heard the full story. There are many people out there. They make money, they send it home to brothers, to sisters, to mothers, to fathers. And you hear the stories and you ask yourself, what's exactly happening? Because if a daughter can cheat a mother, or a father can cheat a son, or a sister can cheat a brother, that tells you that there is a society which is clearly almost in a state of crisis. And that in itself can actually, on a large scale, become a source of conflict if it's not managed. And the population is increasing. We have 48 million people now. 25 years down the road, we're going to become 100 million. So you can imagine, if there is no effort between now and 25 years to reorient ourselves, but also to shift our thinking, and also to have a team of people who are more sober, who are more sane, to capture the instruments of state and start doing the things which states need to do to shift the country back on track. Because if you have 100 million people, and we still have the same environment in which, like, as has been indicated, where people no longer care about others, the sense of being your brother's keeper, the sense of being your sister's keeper, once that is eroded, then it means that you are now dependent on raw force to take the lead on that society for there to be maintenance of law and order. But that's not sustainable. That's where you have to participate. One, you are the majority. Two, 25 years is your future. Don't look at it in terms of something academic or something out there. You have to be absolutely concerned, because 25 years, most of you are going to be in your 40s, in your 50s. So you have got to imagine what kind of society do you want to be living in, what kind of environment do you want to be in down the road, because you're going to get there. So if you don't participate in shaping it in the manner in which you desire it to be, who on earth do you think is going to shape it? You have to participate. You have to own the environment once it is created, or the gradual efforts that we all must apply to create an environment of peace and security. It has to be owned. Peace and security should not be relegated to the state, because the state actors simply come in to manage it whenever any group is chosen to go in there. Of course, there is still controversy in regard to that. There is conflict around that. There is, a struggle around that, because the population is not yet able to determine who goes to manage the state affairs. There's contest on that. I suppose it's also part of your responsibility to ensure that even that conflict is resolved. Because those who are some people read there and forget. When they get into power, they forget and they almost start operating from a mindset as if they own the country. They don't. The majority of the people do. But the problem, the majority of the people are like the crane, which is on our flag. They are not aware. That's another crisis. So you have to participate. You have to participate. What do you have to lose anyway at your age, really? What do you have to lose other than, as we used to say in the old days, other than your chains? Because many of the people may not recognize that they are really chained because they don't see physical chains. You'd rather be chained physically than be chained mentally. Now, therefore, you need to participate first in even breaking the chains that because if you are not aware that you have got the numbers under 35, you are 70% of the population. And to most of you, it seems, it appears simply as a statistic. You don't put life into it. Because if you did, then you would be operating different from how you're operating now. Which leads me to a suspicion that possibly most of you are chained mentally. Because if you don't understand your capabilities, then you are like the crane Ivan was talking about. It's a valued bird, it's on the national flag, but he's not aware of it. Just doing his own things that... it's us who think that it is so. But for it is not aware. You definitely don't seem to have an understanding of the capacities within you in terms of numbers, two, in terms of being educated. Because you are not peasants. Education is meant to open your minds. First, understand that there is nothing that you don't have. Because education opens you, it gives you the capabilities which you can apply in whatever endeavor. And also to know the things which, once you pursue whatever you've chosen, to know that there is nothing which can stop you. As long as you've chosen to follow a route where you are committed to do, as long as it is right, and you persist, eventually reach your destination. Majority of, in this regard, is not only the youth, quite a number of us, even the old, even the middle-aged. There is a culture that we need to break. A culture of, we complain a lot. We fault find. Fault finding, complaining has never been a solution to anything on this planet. Yes, you need to be critical when there's something which is undesirable. But the next stage is not to keep there, getting stuck, and you complain from morning to evening, 1 week, 2 weeks. Then you plan, once you recognize that there's a problem, there is an impediment to the achievement of your expectations. Then you plan. Say, what do we do in terms of a response to a problem? Then you start executing the plan. Now, the problem we seem to have in our country, and really the youth, you need to work day and night, share. reason, did things amongst yourselves, and say, we've got one of the most beautiful countries. How can we be going to look for green pastures outside when there are so many opportunities unexploited yet? And then say, okay, these are the problems, these are the solutions. And once you get around a solution, then don't expect someone to come and solve them. Then participate in executing those plans in whatever area you are, whether you're in politics, whether in the social services sector, those who are in the NGOs. We salute those who consistently keep working to raise awareness. Also those hopefully who can start working, because success leads to success. If you are able to work with groups, small groups of young people who can exploit their potential and succeed, I can tell you, if there are NGOs out there which have got monies outside of trainings, that you work with young people, maybe 10 of them, maybe 20 of them, who pull their resources together. Then you work with them in planning, in executing their plans in whatever it is. If it is, for example, the Tooro now is a tourism destination. To work with them, Ahura was talking about 52 crater lakes. If you're not careful, eventually you're going to find that all tourism facilities around those 52 crater lakes possibly will be owned by individuals who have got money somewhere. They already see the opportunity and they establish themselves there. But if you work with a small group of youth, try to see how there can be plans that can kickstart them. Very well, eventually there will be resources coming from that to pay back, because I don't believe in free money. Free money also is a problem. General Museveni has introduced that. It's dangerous. If there is anything that disempowers the people, is to give them free things. When you want to capture minds of the people, make them start thinking that someone is going to offer them something free. That's another area that you really need to work on as young people. Because there is none of you that does not have inherent capabilities to succeed in whatever area of endeavor you are looking at, once you are empowered in your mind. And there's an environment which is created for you to reach your destination in whatever area of endeavor. Now, for someone to come and create an environment where people think that you can't succeed unless someone gives you free money, there's no government which can give you free money and in quantities that can enable you live. Because even those who get the money that they get, how much do they get? 5,000, 10,000. This is some of this money which is being given to villages. Maybe they come and give 1 million. They share it out. Maybe someone gets 100,000. How will that enable a person? The Chinese have a saying that rather than a person giving you fish, it's better if they can train you and give you a hook, so that whenever you need a fish, you go fish for yourselves. Build that thinking, because success and failure all start from your mindset. Shift from where you expect that someone is going to be giving you money when all that is meant to hook you. And indeed, most of you are hooked. That's why I'm talking about chains of the mind. Break them. I know that there is a great opportunity out there, that they need to create the environment, therefore, so that you can exploit the potential that there is. Back to what we were talking about, NGOs and the rest, because most of them engage in trainings and things like that. I'm really hoping that some of them will engage in practical things, work with youth groups as pilots. Different parts of the country, there are different opportunities. You get a crater lake, they are low. By the way, when you go to some of these tourist destinations, the kind of facilities that are built are not even the most expensive. It's not the 5-star hotels you see in what? Some of them are low cost. They are low cost. So the question is how they are finished, how they are managed. And that's where some of the people would come in, either NGOs or development organizations. It's something at least we are trying to do for us. It's on our side. It won't be public. We'll just be doing it within our own organization to see how we can start transforming the mindsets of people who go into politics. To know that you don't go into politics for money. You go to politics for service. Therefore, if you train as many as you can within the means that you have, and therefore they are able to establish sustained flows of income to themselves, then when they are going into politics, they are not going there for survival. Two, when time comes, they don't fear to retire because they know they've got a fallback position. Well, that's a different matter. It's an internal thing. There, those who are operating with youth outside, the development agencies, the NGOs, you go and you work with youth in a particular area and they succeed in that area. And another group does that. Another group does that. There's nothing that is more enlightening or more influencing than when people see something that is working, that has succeeded. And then they say, but if this group can do this, we can also do this. So when you are doing all that and people are enabled, because the one who starts a business and succeeds creates employment. And then people are participating, saying we must shape our own future. Then that form of participation becomes a solution for peace and security. Because people whose needs are being met, because they have shaped an environment in which these things work. Two, people who are able to get their own resources. That becomes a strong basis for peace and security. So it's an integration of a number of things. Some technical, like in the terms of the state security institutions, but now also participation by the population, and it also being aware of the role they need to play, rather than relegating the issue of peace and security to the state. There are many people in the state institutions who don't even want people to be aware. Because people who are aware cannot be manipulated. So it is in their interest for you to keep chained in the mind. So the only solution you can apply is to ensure that you break out of what they desire you to remain in. There's no way you can trample over people who are educated continuously unless they are not aware that they have what? The capability to break their chains and call you to order. So in that regard, ladies and gentlemen, the youth, you being the majority, you need to participate in resolving the current contradictions that are in the politics of the country, but fully participate in a conscious, deliberate, purposeful way to shape a better future. Don't relegate that responsibility to any human being, any other individual. There's another problem because you keep seeming to think that there are some individuals at the top who can come and fix these problems. Many people look at us, those who are more exposed in politics. There's no individual who's going to fix this country. None. None. At least this is not a political thing, but maybe to give you awareness, there are those of us who believe that the only way to fix these problems is to build political institutions that have got a majority of people who have got the same thinking to operate in teams at different levels. It has been done deliberately and consciously. The moment any of the political institutions, any of the political parties is able to build that in itself, then it can fix the problems of the country. Don't keep looking at individuals. Individuals are just one. You can exit politics either through getting tired and you say enough is enough. Someone walks out, or God calls you and you go to heaven or hell, whichever you have prepared for when you are still on earth, or you don't even get there. So don't fix your eyes on individuals. Work to be part of political organizations where you can build critical numbers of the same thinking and who operate knowing that this is where we want this country to go. We need fairness, we need transparency, we need equal opportunities, we need law and order, and then we can apply our own efforts and we will excel in whatever area of endeavor we're going to go into. Once you go into any of these organizations, and the majority of you think like that, and you influence them to move in that direction, any organization can fix the problems of this country. So basically, I'm also saying that part of your participation in peace and security is that those of you who are inclined to politics, get into it. But with a different mindset, not like of these ones who are there. It has to be a new mindset. Let me end here. A new mindset. I hear people talk about a new generation. Maybe let's also raise some issues on that. Because I don't think we are really, I don't think we have a common understanding of what that means. Because it has got different aspects. You can have a generation in terms of age. That's the most popular. But in application in our environment, I'm not so sure that that is even relevant. Because the current problems we have injustices, we have corruption, we have got all nature of wrong things being done. And the people who are involved in them are across all age brackets. They're old people, they're middle-aged people, they're even young people who are busy looting. So the issue of age and generation in regard to solving the current problems, I don't think it has relevance. I've said this, let me repeat here. You can be 80 and be a thief. You can be 50 and be a thief. You can be 20 and be a thief. A thief is a thief, regardless of age. My own view, if we are going to work on a generation, we need a generation with new thinking. New thinking as different from the current thinking. Because the current thinking is that when you are in a position of responsibility, you would be a fool not to use that opportunity to exploit those opportunities. And the opposite of that can only be the new thinking, because we have not seen it established ever in 60 years. That when you're in a position of responsibility, then it is a God-given opportunity for you to do things that will bring happiness to the people whom you represent, whichever part of the country you come from. That you are there for a service. And to know that when you are many like that, and you do that, that the country inevitably will grow, economy will expand, and the internal systems of managing wealth, and everybody who has capability to access wealth will access wealth, and therefore out of all that there would be peace and stability, there would be harmony within society, there would be happiness within the population. So if you are talking about generation, young people, create a generation of new thinking and actions to find that there is consistency between theory and practice. That what you say is what you do. Because the current culture is that words don't mean a thing. You can say one thing for purpose of impressing people, but when it comes to doing, you do something that benefits you. That's the current generation of thinking. So if you need a solution to that, create a new kind of generational thinking. Not age. Most people in this country are confused. There's a clear difference between that. I see people trying to mobilize around age. Of course, if you mobilize around age, it means that you think that age groups think alike. But you can have an age group where people, some are straight, others are crooked. How can you make that basis? How can you make that as a base for political organization? If you use that as a base, then you don't understand a thing about organizing society. May God bless you.
So you'll raise up your hand and I'll bring the microphone to you. If you have any question that you would wish him to answer,
Thank you very much. Thank you, General. I'm Angusha Tom, an accountant by profession, a former youth counselor in the Greater Kisomoro, and I'm now 50 years by age. I'm a youth activist, and I'm not a retired youth. Generally, I've talked very many fundamental issues about this, and real awakening Tooro is another hard task, but we are struggling slowly, and slowly I'm sure we'll reach there. But General, even changing the LC1 chairperson is not an easy issue. How can we change that system of the people who have several issues which are pushing them back? First of all, our elders do not have enough floor to talk about the issues, more especially which are governing these youth. Then another issue, the leadership itself has some questions. Yes, and we don't have enough floor to express ourselves. More especially, these very youths, majority of whom don't know the boundaries of their land. The first resource, which is land, is another issue which has bigger questions. Then the issue of leadership, changing leadership also has its own dynamics. What can we do really in this age? Thank you very much.
I fully understand. I think I'd rather respond one by one. Is that okay? It's a complex issue, because when people are in a state of pain, the most immediate concern is how to relieve the pain. We also have to be very careful, because well, I hope I won't make mistakes. I'm in a room full of medical people. Where I make a mistake, don't be shy. Correct me so that I can have a new understanding of what I'll be talking about in future. You can seek relief by getting some painkiller, either Panadol or aspirin or whatever, and it can relieve you of that pain. And maybe you can even stay on continuously and you'll feel okay. But the wide thing ordinarily is to go and find out, why do I have a headache? Why do I have pain? And therefore you get to understand the cause of the pain. And once you know that, then you get rid of the root of the problem, so that you no longer have to feel the pain. And therefore keep just medicating it. So I understand you. The current situation it causes frustration. But we need to know that it's not a permanent situation. It will go one way or another. Don't lose hope. Losing hope is the worst form of disability to any living. Running, you can if you don't hope, you are severely disabled. So you cannot lose hope in trying to create an environment in which you seek happiness. That must be one of the most focal things for any human being in existence. Because if you cease to do that, then you must withstand to get in the second option. The second option is you become a slave. Maybe not in a slave as in the past where you'd be owned in someone's home cooking and tending sheep or goats or camels or whatever it is. But you have no independence of doing things which ordinarily are your rights. You are a slave, but you may not know that. So how on earth give up on one of the things which is so critical in us? It is inherent in us to live in a society or in an environment where you have integrity. You can't have integrity when you are a slave. But if you see, darkness all around you and you cease to struggle to create a new state in which you can have integrity, then we keep working on that. Talking and training and raising hope and consciousness. That temporary situation. Change is a constant. To me, we need to apply more and more effort in what happens when change happens. Because if we don't do that, you are saying you can't even remove an LC1. Yes, there are many places where even cheating happens at that level. But again, that's part of the problem that we have. I mean, if you can cheat at LC1 level. I mean, you can even in schools now. In schools, at times you hear things and they frighten you. You hear kids are offering bribes to get elected to become prefects or whatever. A problem. That's why those who understand it that way must go and apply effort and resilience and intensity to the extent that we are able to shift and create a new environment where we can create an environment where we can live in integrity. I can be doing my business. I may not even have anything to do with the politics, but wherever I am, my rights and freedoms are observed. That I've got equal opportunities. Because each one of us pays taxes. And taxes are the very foundation of governance. So please, you say you are 50, but you are still active and your mindset is of youth. Don't give up. Keep lighting a candle. Keep convincing others, as Ivan quoted Mother Teresa. Keep convincing others also to light candles. Don't let people who have a candle, they're in darkness, they are not lighting the candle, but they are complaining about darkness. Because now. Yep.
Yes. My name is Chomaino Henry, aka Atom, the ghetto storyteller. My struggle to change this society, to change the mindsets of the youth, has already started in the ghettos. I gladiate all the ghettos. I advocate for the ghettos. But one most important challenge, our dear General, is we are unempowered through lack of jobs. To awaken the lion of a youth in Tooro, we need industrialization. But I have vouchers. When I stood up to demand for industrialization, I was put behind bars in Katojo, which is also a mess itself, where most youth who are imprisoned in Katojo, it is overwhelming. The numbers are overwhelming. So, back to the point of employment. The only thing that can change the economy of Tooro, as we awaken the lion of the youth in Tooro, is industrialization. Me and my fellow youth, students and others in the ghettos, we have no capacity to build industries. It is the policy makers. They have failed us totally.
Yeah.
They have failed us totally.
And don't expect that you're going to see change soon in regard to that, as long as the mindsets that are in power remain the way they are. The only other thing you need to do, even as you wait for industries, find out amongst yourselves, is there something you can do within your means once you put resources? Because most of you are youth. Take time to Google and read about success stories, more so those who are interested in the business area and industries as you are talking about. Read about all these people who make headlines, who have succeeded. Because when you read and understand that the people who have succeeded started from, at times, a situation which could even be worse than where you find yourselves. Why so? Because it gives you hope to say, if this guy is a multi-millionaire, if this guy is a multi-billionaire, and then you read their history, you see the number of attempts they have made. You even recognize the amount of money they started with. And then you see that they kept on, they never gave up until a point, and always there's that point, whether it is in business, whether it is in the military, whether it is in other areas, where there is a turning point. And you find that now you have shot up. Because now you can, the industries you want government to put in place, and it is their responsibility, they should put the framework necessary to attract foreign direct investment, to encourage domestic investors. But in that regard, don't yourself out of that bracket. Because what can I'm looking for a word. What can impede you from looking at yourself in that is that you may look at yourself now and say, I don't even have 100,000. It's never the money. That's why I encourage you to read the stories of all these other guys. Many of them never had the money. Many of them who have succeeded simply had an idea. They looked at their environment, they looked at an idea and say, if we can develop this idea, then it can lead us to 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you have that idea, then you have to work amongst yourself to see, can 10, 20, 30 of us put money together and start? If the money is not enough, can you start on a smaller scale within your means and keep building? And maybe at a point convince someone who can come in and say, this is a serious group. Once they look at how you manage your books in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they see the discipline, and then a venture capitalist, because all these people who have succeeded elsewhere is because of venture capital, which we don't have here. But if you have an idea which you have developed, and you have shown the discipline, they see the books, the way you are managing the books. And someone comes at some point and say, this people started with 1 million. In 2 years, they are 10 million. 3 years, they are 50 million. And someone can say, let's put in this kind of money. So don't put yourself at the point at which you are now. No. Most of the rich people, that's how they start. So in the groups that you have of youth, some of the things you need to keep discussing are those. Keep getting people from Tooro who have got experience in entrepreneurship to come and talk with you, or from even outside Tooro, people who have succeeded, to walk you through all these issues that you are faced with. One thing you should not be tempted to do is to lose hope and say, because I don't have money, I can't do this. No, start with the idea. Because don't be surprised, you can find that you are with a team that can now be part of those who establish industries here. It's a tourist destination. Who knows? But if there is good management at the top and the country is marketed well, and the tourism entries increase from 1.2 or 3, 4, 5, where it is, and you find Uganda attracting 8, 9, 10 million tourists, that becomes a market. So who knows, by that time you find that you have processed, you have gone into an industry for agro-processing, and now you have a market here, and you are the one who is supplying. That's a huge market. But it doesn't necessarily have to be on about tourism. It can be on many other things. Yeah. I have a feeling that you need to engage with many people who have the experiences in entrepreneurship development. The people who are in Tooro who have the capabilities to get these trainers to come and they, walk the young people, to break them out of the mindset to think that there is nothing we can do. We don't have money. Once they get out of that and start thinking different, they may not succeed 100%, but if you have 10% succeed, then it sparks off more successes. Because people will say, so and so whom were with there, all of us had nothing. 5 years now, they are the ones who have got a factory. There's nothing that can create a breakthrough than a success 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Then you keep building, then you keep building. Yes.
So
Ahura, you're the one who has the Mzindaro. So
we are going to take 4 questions for now. And after the 4 questions, General will answer them. Then we go for lunch, come back for the session of Honorable Nyanjura. Since it is also a plenary that is directly attached to this, in the segment of questions, still you will pass questions to Honorable Doreen, and still you will also pass questions to General again, and they will answer them. So we are going to get 4 questions. I have 2 hands here. I need other 2 people. So 1 from behind and 1 from the front.
All protocol observed. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Linda Tracy, and I'm a student nurse at Verika School of Nursing. I thank you so much, General, for the advising words you've given us. And I must say that we've been, encouraged. One, the youth do not have a voice. Secondly, like he said, at times we lose hope. Like you feel like you are at the lowest and then everybody is at your top. So my issue, Honorable General, is we appreciate the fact that you are telling us to be hopeful and fight for what we want. But the main issue here is the voice. You realize I might have the passion. I have the ideas I think are best for the youth. And the only thing hindering me is who is addressing it for me. Well, if I am willing to address it myself, I do not have the opportunity. I do not. One, I can take an example of our dearest Parliament of Uganda. When you try to look around, the honorable members of Parliament, the people who sit there, I don't think there is any above the age of, let's say, 20 or 35 years. I don't know if I'm very well informed. But you realize that it is dominated by people of the, the elder people, those people who, okay, many people think for us, the youth, have a different thinking from those guys who are old now. So the issue is, I have the will, I feel I have the ability, but I do not have a way through.
Okay.
Yes.
I think what I would advise you to do, if you are interested in politics, then you have to choose a party in which you can be groomed. If you are in areas like want to go into social welfare programs and work with communities and all that, then you look for an NGO where there are men of integrity. Then you operate under their wings and you learn, and then you can offer your services, because there are people who are inclined that way. But if you're inclined in politics, choose a party and choose very carefully. You have to be very careful.
General, Mr. Sylvan is noting down the questions. Mr. Sylvan is noting down the questions such that you answer them at once.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Rita Kirungi, born and raised here, but I'm a senior state attorney from West Nile region. I am one of those people who almost offered themselves for service of Fort Portal City as a woman MP, but under auntie. Why did I turn it down? I could not resign my job because I did not know, I was not sure of the outcome, and how then would I survive? Yes, General, you've told us something very important. We should be a generation with new thinking to help us unleash our capabilities. But this generation is very powerless. Look at how youth members of parliament are elected. If you do not have money, you cannot make it. But also our elders have let us down. How? This is a group of people we look up to. I will not mention names, but I know you all know them. They are the people we look up to, but what will they look at when you inform them you're offering yourself for a service? This young girl, she's not married, she's not what? How can she lead us? We do not have, our elders have not given us the chance to take up our space. So we cannot make it. But now, General, my question to you. As a youth, how do you think we can best take up our space, powerless as we are?
He has noted down the question.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Brian Masiko. I work in refugee programming. General, my issue is with participation. Most of the youth think participation is being there. There is meaningful participation and passive participation. And we usually passively participate. I conduct trainings for humanitarian agencies, and the question I usually put forward to them is, what decisions are you making for yourselves, and what decisions are they making for you? And as youth, you realize that most of the times, they are making decisions for us, and we just follow what they have made for us. It's like a system. We are just in the system, burying our heads. So I like your point on participation, breaking the chains. And it's when we start asking that hard question, what decision are they making for me, and what decision am I making for myself? I usually look at the key examples around us. I was at the university with Nyanjula, Doreen, Honorable. And by then we were still in the tunnels of the FDC, and we used to refer to her as the Iron Lady because she used to give us direction. So when I'm seated there and I'm watching her on TV talk and push guys, and as a deputy Lord Mayor, I feel so encouraged. I keep the hope. I keep the songs we used to sing, saying that we shall overcome someday. I know it will happen. Thank you.
The second last question, and the last question, I will request a lady, if there is, to ask it.
Thank you so much, General, and the organizers of this function. My name is Alan Rutenta Amoti, and I'm a born of Kivito. I have a few things that I wanted to bring on board, but to start with, maybe let me first start with the youth. Somebody mentioned about how the youth have been killed mentally. General, I want to tell the audience that fresh from campus, I contested for a mayorship position in my town council, Kivito, where we come from with Ivan. But out of the 8 contestants that I had stood with, I was the youngest of all. But you know what people used to tell me, just like our council is from, our senior attorney is mentioning, they used to say, this man doesn't have a house, he's still sleeping at his father's. You have not yet even married. How can we trust you with our office? And to make matters worse, something that made me hate politics so much, they reached to an extent of saying, you are young, these ones have failed several times, you failed, don't worry, Castor, you're growing, you'll contest again. I realized that our people's mindset is so really unbecoming, like you can't stand it. Then too,
So what happened?
I failed successfully.
No, not the failing. What happened after that?
After
participating.
I started my CBO. I am now an executive director of Environmental Research and Response Uganda.
So you mean you left politics?
I have it strongly at heart, but the people of my area, I realized they don't want ideas, because you could reach with all the people. Of course, people have sold their lands, they have money. After talking one or two words, very irrelevant words in regard to what concerns the society, then someone will say, I have brought for you some busera, and he gives a 50 for you from campus. What do you have to give? Nothing. So people say, you have not given us anything. This one has washed our throats. So I lost, and I have strong hope for politics, but our society is so bad. Then we've emphasized so much on youths. But I realized when it comes tomorrow, General and the young generation in this room, I want us to acknowledge that the few parents that are in this hall today, you have also lost it. Let us not only condemn or put emphasis on the youths, but also the parents. Me, I was brought up by a very serious man, and I'm sure some of you have heard of Mr. Amon, and I'm so proud of that. But what have you done today? Someone messes up, like you find a kid misbehaving on the road. You touch a kid, the parent will take you to police. Initially, during our time when we were still young, a neighbor could beat you and you don't even go home to report. But today, things have changed. Then another thing, General, that I'll bring last is about the education. I'm very glad that in your position right now, at least, like we are all fighting to reach there, you have an opportunity, you have the audience, you have the platform. Can we advocate for change of our education system? Our education system is nurturing us after school, like you mentioned earlier in your submission, that however much you study, even to PhD level, you will require to go back to the grassroots. We have lost it. We're starting to get jobs. We have good nature here that can give us all the things that we need. But our education system, all the good subjects like political education that could guide us and eliminate those issues of money, they cut them off. They are teaching us things that I'm glad that we have some doctors here and the people who are going in that lane. But how about us who want to go art way? They've cut the history. We don't know what to do anymore, Bona General. So I pray that you advocate. Whenever you have a chance, please talk about our education system. Thank you so much.
And the final question from the lady behind. In the session after lunch, after Honorable Nyanjura's presentation, be sure that also your questions will come through and General will answer them.
Thank you very much. I'm called Kengonza Elizabeth, the female councillor representing the people of Rengoma Ward, and the Secretary for Gender, Community Development, Production and Environment, and a good card of NRM. I thank the General for the good message he has given us. And my brother brought something that the community scared him and confused him to be a good politician. But I can give a live example to my fellow youth. Now I'm approaching 40, but I'm still a youth with my mindset. Because the youth must be strong. I came in elections in 2016. Someone who I was standing with me was a strong woman, and everyone told me you cannot overcome that person. They were seeing me as a little girl. They created a lot of words. I told them, I'm a woman with a vision. Everyone, I didn't give anyone money, but I had General telling us that our mindset and being patient and staying strong with your word can lead you to success. I came and got NRM flag. They had to put me down. I had to win her. In the second race, she brought a lot of vukodio. I said, when I fall, then I went and asked, what exactly happened They told me what happened. I came in phase 2. Do you know what happened? I'm now the counselor leading Rwengoma Ward. I'm telling you, my fellow youth, you can do it if you become strong. Don't say the community is not understanding you. Try to show the community that you are able and you can do it better. You're going to win. Me, I thank you for the good words, the encouraging words you're giving the youth. They should stay strong. And one day they are going to be somebody and strong people in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Sir Sylvain is handing over the questions. There was also a question written by someone. And
I saw that on a small piece of paper, right?
Yes.
Okay. Rita. Rita was saying they feel powerless as youth. Then the elders have let them down. And was asking how can they best take the space they are. My own advice is that, one, the nature of our politics as it is now is cutthroat, is survival of the fittest. Anything goes. There are no rules, almost. Now, there must be some of you in your generation in terms of age who need to understand that unless that changes, the situation is going to get worse and worse. Because when a culture, a negative culture of a society is not checked and reversed, then the tendency is that you keep on degenerating further and further until you reach a crisis point. So there have got to be a number of you who say, no, we cannot accept continuing in this direction. And therefore, we must make the necessary sacrifices, first to halt the downward trend and then reverse this trend. Unfortunately, that's an unavoidable phase of struggle. There must be people who stand out and say, we will make the necessary sacrifices. No society can ever change and go in the correct direction from a wrong direction unless there are people who are able to make sacrifices. Two, don't expect that you are going to find many people willing to empower you, because many in politics want you to remain powerless. I mean, it goes without saying. There are people who are in politics, but they want total control. You cannot have total control if you are on top of the people who are aware and who are empowered. So don't have a lot of hopes that there are going to be many people who are going to come and really conduct rigorous, because it requires resources, and it's normally the government which is supposed to do that. Even constitution is their role of doing civic education, empowerment. But I can tell you, I don't want to offend those who are in NRM here, but the NRM regime won't do that. Because they want you to remain the way you are. Chained. So, some of you must determine to break your own chains. And it's always possible. That's why the NGOs come in to train people. How do you change mindsets and all that and all that? And then you stand out. There have to be sacrifices. Where we are at, there have to be sacrifices. I wish I could tell you that it's something easy. It's not. Two, I simply can't understand how you can be you can have a sense of being a minority when you are the majority. It beats me to understand. I can't comprehend it. Because where you are operating from, and I attend many youth conferences, and you hear the same issue. We are disempowered, we are marginalized. But under 35, you are 70% of the population. So there's something which I cannot grasp easily. I don't know. I have never felt in my life, even when I was a youth. Because one, I never looked at myself as youth. I always looked at myself as there is something that is wrong here and we must fix it. So there was a cause around which I believed we must fight. The issue of youth or no youth, even if there are many people who try to marginalize you, there is no problem. I mean, there is no doubt about that. There are people who will want to marginalize you. But see, the issue to me is not people who want to marginalize you. The issue is you accepting to be marginalized. Because it is one thing to be oppressed and you resist. It is another thing when you are under oppression to participate in your own oppression. Those are two different things. And to give you encouragement, maybe in responding to someone who talked about me having the platform, I think it was Alan. I said this some time back, and I think someone either cut short what I said, and it caused confusion around the youth I work with. I was talking about the issue of a national platform. Don't worry about names, national, name recognition. Because like now, I have name recognition. Why? Because I was ever a commander of the army. I have been in politics for a long time. I was a leader of a party twice. However, when I became the commander of the army, nobody knew me. I had no name recognition. Doreen here has now name recognition because of the elevated positions in which she has served. In the party, at Makerere, and in where? And in KCC. So your concern should not be, your primary concern should not be a platform or the name. No. Your main concern is to determine and say, here there is a cause, and I'm going to fight this cause. It doesn't matter. Nobody is going to stand in my way. And you start. I can guarantee you name recognition will come. But there must be content around your name recognition, because that's also another thing. Name recognition is not enough. Because if name recognition would be enough and it would be a basis for the resolution of problems, then we certainly should not have any problems in this country. Because General Museveni has name recognition. His whole cabinet has name recognition. The 300 plus members of parliament of NRM have got national recognition. So why are we in a mess? So you can have name recognition, but there is no content, or the content is wrong. So focus on a justifiable cause. Work. And I can guarantee you, name recognition comes. And hopefully, that name recognition by the time it comes is that you'll be on the right side of history, that you are there to do all things you do for the interests of society. That is not in conflict with you getting things which will satisfy you as an individual, as family. They are never in conflict. We have many young people in the party who don't have name recognition yet, but whom I know for sure that they'll get name recognition. The role of an organization is to keep grooming them and building them and empowering them and strengthening them. That by the time they have name recognition, they have got the right content in them. Because anybody can only give you what they have. If someone has a mindset of fere, even when they have name recognition, they will kukufera. They will fera you, if there is any such word. But if the content of their character is that there are men or women who want to do service for the good of society. They'll have both. They'll have the name recognition, they'll have the platform in which they can voice things, and they also have that character. Okay, Brian, refugee camp. I didn't understand. Refugee camp decisions being made for them. How do we resolve this? Don't allow anybody to make decisions for you. Sit amongst your groups. Make decisions in what you want to do. And then influence people within your environment. Influence them in the direction in which you think you should be heading, wherever you are. Whether you're in a school, whether you're in a village, wherever you are. Expand your circles of influence. Work with other people who have got the same mind like you. And then act in concert to expand your areas of influence. It's similar like the example of Mother Teresa saying, light a candle. Because if you have 100 people in a room and 50 of you light candles, the room will be light, without doubt. Alan, contesting without what you don't want. We have to know that we have two problems. We have a problem in the political elite. The majority of us who are in politics are in because of our own self-aggrandizement. We advance our own self-interest over and above societal interest, over and above national interest. That's one problem. Second problem, we have got a population which is completely disempowered with a very low level of political consciousness. So the moment you choose to go into politics, you go in psychologically prepared to fight on both fronts. One front, how to expand the elite in the political circles to become more than those who are in there now. Because on balance, the Bafere are more than the men and women of integrity in politics. So you expand the numbers there. Two, you have to keep working on the consciousness of our society. It is not only in Chibito. We are right now going all over the country building our infrastructure as a party. And our engagement in every part of this country is basically around that, a disempowered population. We can't give, because we inherent in every human being created is capability to do in the interest of a society in which they exist, because nobody wants to be in a bad situation. Nobody wants to live poor. Nobody wants to be trampled upon. So it is a role and responsibility to keep talking and organizing until we raise a significant number of people who say, no, where we are heading is wrong. This is the right direction. And then they shift. That can't happen by itself. So if you are interested in politics, Alan, don't bail out. Stick in there. Because if you bail out, then how will you change the situation? You know, gold, Tukutangira Boki. Thank you for coming. Ladies like gold chain, necklaces, gold necklaces. But the necklaces they put on are closed pure gold, 99 plus purification, right? Yes. But gold, when it's still an ore, is impure. So it has to be put through a smelting process. Furnace, 1,000 degrees Celsius. That purification process creates the beauty that the ladies so desire. Now, the problem in politics, you have to go through a furnace of challenges to become strong, to stick to something you know the outcomes of which are going to be of benefit to society. If you bail out, you'll not gain the muscle. Anybody who wants to build muscle must go into a gym. You can't sit around your chair and hope and wish to become muscular, and you avoid going to a gym, and then you become muscular, it will remain a dream. You have to choose. Education, I agree with you. The main focus of our educational systems is it concentrates on academics. Go through university, become this or become that, only in academics. As if there was no realization until this point in time that people are wired differently. We've got different intelligences. There are people who sit in a class and academic stuff that is being talked about makes no sense to them. But they are so skilled in using their hands that they can even go to the highest level in what they create out of their hands. There are people who are skilled to become musicians and become the best, the Beethovens or those that are of world renown. There are those who are gifted in sports who become international players. Any educational system that is worth the name must recognize that. It must put in place the necessary mechanism to detect that early in the young people. There must be a system of determining this young girl, this young boy, how are they wired? Are they in the academics? Are they in the skills of using their hands? Is it sports? Is it music? And then the educational system must factor that in as they build it upwards. And then you can see how society can escalate because of the talent that is tapped into once there is that kind of recognition. We don't have that now, here. The assumption is if you can't comprehend what they are teaching you in geography or physics or something like that, then you are dumb. That thinking is what is dumb. People like Ford. Ford is driven all over the world. Ford wasn't even educated in terms of, academics. But he had talent in terms of being an entrepreneur. And he employed educated people and built an industry that has survived centuries. And many others, if you look around. So I agree with you. Jerome Zewen recently, I don't know whether he got a dream. I don't know really what happened. We woke up one night and we heard that science teachers are being paid 4 million and our teachers are not going to be increased. I don't know whether he dreamt about it. I don't know. But it has become a source of a crisis. And it was never thought through. You can imagine science teachers who had become headmasters. Some of them have been trying to resign as headmasters to now go back to teach because the headmaster is getting less than the science teacher. Sciences are being taught in English. English is an arts subject. People are even wired differently, really. And there must be equal opportunities in terms of human resource development. Give opportunity to people to excel in whichever field they are gifted. These gifts are given by God, not by human beings. Yeah, people who don't know how to manage society, that's where the problem lies. Just gambling. Elizabeth. Yes, it's a good example. You stick in there, you take a stand, you fight for your space. You fight for your space. As we speak now, politics in this country is like a national park. There are no rules. There are eat antelopes. Our role and responsibility is how to change that so that even politics becomes a rule-governed enterprise. But when you go in there, you know that people will listen to you, you can influence people, you don't have to use money. Genome 7 has introduced that, unfortunately, so as to hook people, and many are hooked. So one of the roles we have to do is how to unhook them. To know that what, again, the Chinese saying, that rather than a man giving you fish, he or she would rather teach you how to fish and give you a hook. Because anytime you need fish, you'll go and get it for yourself. That's a different philosophy. The current philosophy is make people believe that they will come to you every time they need anything, to beg. And when they fall into that trap, then they are on your hook. And is the country hooked? How the country is hooked. There is no government which can give you money on a daily basis. It's just simply not possible. That's not rocket science. But when there is a necessary conducive environment, people will make their own money. People will prosper. Create the environment. Those are the two competing philosophies. We represent the one of saying, train people, create the environment. They make their own money. We represent that thinking. And there's nothing which will stand in our way. We will, whether slowly, whatever speed, we will systematically keep talking about that over and over until we make a breakthrough. And the moment that breakthrough is made, this country will escalate. May God bless you all.
Was that hand clap enough? I know you're hungry, but it is quite nice to do it all. You were not? You were. Thank you so much, General Mugisha Muntu. We welcome those who joined us during that time. Are you hungry? If you're not hungry, we need to check you. We have medical students here, they should check you. But I know you're hungry. So we are going to take our lunch. Actually, the lunch is ready. Let's clap for lunch. General is still with us, right? General is going to have lunch with us, so please feel free to engage him as we have lunch. Now, after lunch, you must come back because, number one, you have to hear from, shouldn't we call you Lady Mayor? I feel they should be called Lady Mayor. We have to listen. Do you want to listen to the Lady Mayor? Yes. So you have to come back and listen to her. She's a born of here, you know. And maybe she will even speak to us in Tooro, so I pick some words. We have to listen to what she will tell us. And also, secondly, one of the biggest challenges of youth is unemployment. Am I lying? You're all studying, but you're hoping after studying you're going to do what? To get employed. And we are going to talk about that. We have Raymond from the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. He's going to tell us the jobs which are there and how we can access them. Okay? And Stuart too will tell us about other employment opportunities out of Uganda which we can utilize. You don't want to miss that. We started late, that's why we are late on time, but we are going to continue, and I know you are benefiting. Who wants to give us a prayer for lunch? Who is hungry? The one leading the prayer is going to be the first on the line. Please come. Then DJ will give us some music as we go for lunch. We shall try to be orderly so that we don't all go at once. We shall take you in bits, okay? This one is going to be the first on the line.
Thank you so much. Let's humble ourselves for prayer.